What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back, and we got Ethan joining me here with some baseball coverage for the playoffs, and we're going to be doing our playoff bracket here. But before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button. These 200 subscribers we'll be doing that giveaway of an autographed item. But I'll start it off here with the Phillies and the Cardinals. The Phillies looks like they weren't going to make the playoffs, but they clutched up in the last few games, getting on a 3-game winning streak to, seal their fate into the 6th seed for the wild card. Where the Cardinals, they ran away with the division in the month of September, took it from the Brewers, and it wasn't really close. But I am going to go with the Cardinals. I don't think this is going to be a very close series at all. I think it'll be 2 games. Waino dominates game 1, and whoever's pitching for the Cardinals game 2, more than likely Montgomery is going to dominate as well. But the Phillies, it is remarkable how they did get here after Harper was hurt the whole year. This team seemed like they dealt with injuries, but they still made it, but it just got a bad matchup for them. And then moving down to the Padres and Mets, obviously the Braves clinched yesterday the division, winning, last week against the Mets. That series swept them as the Mets were up a game, and they walked out of there up 2 games. And that's all you need to know. I think the Padres have really faltered their way to the 5 seed here. This team really fell off. Not fell off, but just they went off at the deadline expecting to make this huge push, and they coasted into the playoffs. They still do have Juan Soto, Josh Hader, Drury, all these guys, but I don't think it's going to be enough for that Mets rotation. With DeGrom and Scherzer, that's pretty much all you need to know. In a 3-game series, good luck. And unfortunately, that's how it's coming out for the Padres, so I think they'll get swept. But moving over to the AL, we have the Rays and Guardians. Rays got here because of pitching and pitching only. Every year they have a good staff and bullpen, and that's how they get here to the last wild card. Where the Guardians shocked a lot of people this year, winning the AL Central. They were the 3rd favorite to win the AL Central, and they got it done with some good hitting, not a lot of home runs. I think they're 29th in MLB in home runs. And against this Rays staff, I think that's how you win games, not home runs, just hitting around, getting on base. And that's something the Guardians do well. I think it'll go 3 games. But the Guardians will move on to face the Yankees. And then the last wild card, we have the Mariners and Blue Jays, which I think will be the best wild card. It will go 3 games. It is in Toronto, but it's not going to matter because the Mariners are going to come out on top and steal it from the Blue Jays. I think, Julio Rodriguez return. He just got activated off the IL, I believe, Monday. And he is finally, going to be able to play in the postseason. Obviously, he's a rookie this year, but there's a big question mark around his health heading into the postseason, but he's healthy. And when that team has him and they're healthy, this team is a very scary team. The rotation is solid as well. And I think that's what gets the Blue Jays because that rotation has been so shaky at times. Barrios, if he doesn't have a good start, they're pretty much guaranteed to lose that game. And Manoah, I don't think can pitch 3 games for this team. So I think that's why the Blue Jays lose this. But we'll move over to the NLDS. Cardinals, Braves, best of 5. I think the Braves win this one in 4 over the Cardinals. The Braves show their depth in this one with the bullpen. I think is much better than the Cardinals. And that's what it's going to come down to here in the postseason. Who has a better bullpen? And obviously the Braves have a good lineup as well compared to the Cardinals, where the MVP Goldie, Pujols has been absolutely mashing as well. Yachty's last year, Waino's last year. It's going to be a tough ending for the Cardinals, but unfortunately it had to come at some time. And then the Mets are going to upset the Dodgers in 5 games. And, I just think that the Braves and Mets just have to play each other at least one more time this year. It just doesn't seem right that the Braves swept them. And I just don't think that it's going to be over for that series, and they're going to decide who wins the World Series. But we'll move over to the AL. We got the Guardians and Yankees. Obviously, Judge and his home runs. He's got 62 this year so far, depending on what he does today. And the Guardians, pretty much have a little more than half of the home runs as a team total that Judge has this year. But I don't think it's going to matter because when the Yankees aren't at home, they struggle hitting home runs. And I think the Guardians staff can keep them off balance and win in 5 games. Yeah, that's right. I'm taking the Guardians to pretty much shock, a few people here already. Even getting past Tampa is a tough challenge. But we'll move down to the Mariners and Astros. These teams play each other 19 times this year, and I think the Astros were 14-5, I believe. But the playoffs are a whole different breed. It's a different story. And if I think the Mariners win the first series, then they're going to win that second series too in 5. It's going to be really good, interesting AL side this year. I mean, the Stros pretty much look unbeatable, but we saw it last year with the Braves. They beat the Dodgers, who looked unbeatable. And I just don't think a 1 seed is gonna get to the ALCS this year. I'm just going on a limb here. It could be a little crazy prediction, but I just like, being on that crazy side for baseball because, you have to play every single game like it matters, especially now in the postseason. But we'll move over to the championship series in the NL. Braves, Mets, best of 7. I'm going with the Braves in 6. I think the Braves just owned the Mets this year and kind of stole their heart away, ripped the division away from them. And, when you have the Mets kind of reeling with that rotation, Bassett is a good number 3 option, especially for the postseason. He's a really good number 3. And you have Carrasco as the number 4. I mean, this team is possibly on a crash course they could maybe even sweep the Braves just depending on how that staff pitches, but I don't see that happening. The Braves have their number all year, it feels like, against the Mets. And it will get dragged out a little bit, but the Braves will move to the World Series. And then we have the Guardians and the Mariners. I'm sure you guys all thought that would be the championship series heading into this year. And it's just a battle of who wants it more, I think, because the Guardians obviously have the longest drought in MLB history for a World Series. I think it's almost 79, 80 years. And the Mariners obviously haven't gone to the playoffs until this year for 21 years. So whoever gets the World Series out of this series obviously is going to be, ecstatic and hoping to end a huge drought. And I think it's going to be the Mariners. The Mariners are going to win in 5 games. I think the Guardians' luck runs out because they're going to, battle the Yankees for 5, and it's going to be draining on them because this team, has to go through pitching, and Guardians don't have as good of a bullpen as a lot of these other teams have. They have Clase, and that's about it. And I think that's where the bullpen hurts them here in the ALCS. That's why the Mariners move on. But we have the World Series of the Mariners and the Braves possibly back for a repeat. And this one is going to go, I think, 7 games. And who has the home field advantage? Is it the...
Oh, shoot.
Is it the NL?
I think it is the NL.
I think it's the NL. I think they won. And it's not going to matter, though, because the Mariners, wherever the game's playing, they're winning in 7. And Julio gets his ring, a Rookie of the Year, probably World Series MVP. I just think it's just a crash course for destiny this year. The Mariners have been reeling. And a team that a lot of people wrote off midway through the year as well, just because, well, Julio got hurt, and then everyone's like, uh-oh, what's going to happen to this team? And we see it every year before where the Mariners start really hot the first 2 months and just absolutely fall off. Well, they sustain that this year, and we're going to see what they can do this year. But that's going to be my bracket, and Ethan will move on to your bracket here.
All right, and before I start, I just want to say that the AL does have the home field advantage for the World Series, not the National League. All right, so we'll start with the Phillies and the St. Louis Cardinals as our first matchup in the wild card. And I'm going to take the Cardinals in this one. I think that they're just the better overall team right now. And the Phillies have a lot of things to work on. But if they get hot, they could do one of those Cinderella runs in the postseason. But that's not what I see. The next matchup we have is the Padres and the Mets. And now I think I'm going to take the Mets in this one. The Padres do have that chance that you never know how they can play. They got star power. They got pitching. It really depends on how the Mets show up. If they show up, then they should win this, but you never really know in the postseason. So now moving over to the American League, we have the Rays and the Guardians. And I know you had the Guardians all the way to your ALCS, but I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Rays in this one. I just think experience with Kevin Cash and that whole bullpen, Wander's back and healthy. They're just a solid. They're like the better version of the Guardians, in my opinion. They do the same thing, but they're just slightly better and more experienced this year. So I'm going to take the Rays in 3 games there. The Mariners and Blue Jays. Blue Jays are at home, so I also think the Blue Jays will knock off the Mariners and advance to the ALDS against the Yankees. So now over the NLDS, the Cardinals and the Braves. I am going to take the Braves in this one. It's going to be very heartbreaking for the Cardinals fans and Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright because they will be done after this year. So Very unfortunate, and I wish I could put them in the World Series, but I just think the Braves are too hot right now. So I'm gonna say the Braves in 5 games, and then we have the Mets and the Dodgers in the other matchup, and I'm gonna take the Dodgers. I just don't think the Mets are gonna win this series. I just think the Dodgers are far and away the best team in that out of those two teams right now. So I'm gonna take the Dodgers in 4. And then over the American League side, Blue Jays, Yankees. Now this is a really tough one, but I think I'm going to go with the Blue Jays. I just think that they're going to score more runs, and if the Yankees don't hit home runs, then they probably don't win the game. And the Yankees were really hot in that first half, and they still didn't end up with that first seed. So that's saying something that they're not been playing the best baseball in the second half. So Blue Jays, I'm going to say Blue Jays in 5, and then Rays, Astros. I'm going to go with the Houston Astros to win that game, to win that series in 4 games. I just think they have more power. I think they're the better team for sure. Over in the National League side now for the NLCS, Braves, Dodgers, and I think I'm going to go with the Dodgers. The Dodgers have the better matchups. I think Braves, it's a rematch of last year's NLCS, and I do think the Dodgers will take it this time and send the Braves home in 7 games. In the ALCS, we got the Blue Jays and the Astros, and I'm going to go with the Blue Jays on the road. I think that they are going to get really hot and primed to win that AL. I think they're going to get hot, win it in 7 games. So my World Series is the Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think this series is going to be a really entertaining one, back and forth all series, and I think it'll be 7 games won by the Toronto Blue Jays. Hooray for the Blue Jays. Winning the World Series is going to be huge for them, and if you want to win some money, take the Blue Jays or the Mariners in your World Series picks this year.
But I'll ask you a question here. Obviously, you have the Dodgers going. Would they be your second choice to win the World Series, or would you think someone else would be the second option?
I think you got to put the Dodgers there, but then I'd say if the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals have a chance.
Okay. Yeah, because I think for mine, obviously I took the Mariners and whatnot. I think my team would, for second place, would probably be the Astros. I hate to say it, but if the Stros do beat the Mariners, which I predicted, I just don't see the Astros losing to a team in the AL, and I think they have an easy path to the World Series. And if they don't face the Dodgers, I think the Astros will take it. But if it's the Dodgers, Astros World Series, which I hope doesn't happen for everyone, because no one wants that to happen, then who knows? But if the Astros are playing not the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are playing someone that's not, the Astros, I think it's going to go to one of those two, from my perspective, obviously.
Well, I think it's going to be really entertaining no matter what, and I'm excited to watch it for sure.
But that's going to be it for our video today. Make sure you check out our other MLB postseason power rankings video. That'll be uploaded soon, very soon. And that's going to be it for us. Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.